Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Master Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And thanks for making us a part of your day. I tell you, this series we created here, bringing lots of light, love, and levity, or as we have sort of coined in our broadcast, levity to the world, has truly been outstanding and amazing. I just cannot believe the amount of people that have been responding to what we're doing here and the kind words that you guys have been sharing. All those Instagram messages, private messages on Facebook, and tweets, and emails, and texts, and all kinds of cool things. I just want to personally thank you for doing that. As you guys know, those who watch the show regularly are Lovity viewers from around the world. I do this work professionally as a television and radio personality and presenter, host, journalist, writer, actor, voiceover artist, narrator, stage MC, and so much more. And we started this show at the beginning of the pandemic, actually, playing off my professional work. And people asked, are you going to do this just during, this quote pandemic? Just to help us get through and put some positivity into the air and provide us with entertainment and inspiration and knowledge building and all the other things we've been doing? Or is this going to be something you're going to do regularly? Because, Jim, we hope you keep doing this because this is sort of like a Zen place for us, a solace from the chaos of life. So I said, you know what? We're going to throw it up in the air and see what happens. And if people respond and bring in some great guests and do on location segments and surprise pop-up shows and host viewer chat levity episodes and all kinds of cool things. And we'll see where it lands. And boy, it's exceeded all my expectations. So we're here, we're continuing. We've done over 440 episodes live, just about 7 days a week. And balancing that with my day work in television and radio is amazing. I'm loving the ride. I'm loving doing all of this with all of you. I've met so many of you virtually. We've had outstanding guests who've joined us here from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, stage, culinary arts, comedy, sports, inspiration, and from all levels of life too. From major celebrities to everyday folks doing great things. It's really a wonderful marriage of humanity here on the Jim Master Show Live. And everybody's welcome, regardless of gender, religious views, political views, height, weight, income, zip code, eye color, none of it matters. You're all welcome to join us here on our broadcast. Spread the word. Tell everybody about the Jim Masters Show. We really love that. A lot of you have been doing that. We even have a Facebook group for this series called JMS Live, Lovity Hall. Check that out on Facebook. Also, many of you have subscribed to our YouTube channel, and boy, do we love that. That's really, really big time. That helps this show continue to grow so we can deliver all this great content for you. That's the channel you're watching right now. That's Jim Masters TV. Subscribe to it. That's that little red button you see in the right-hand corner. There's no cost to do that. I don't know why they call it subscribe, because you think there's like some sort of fee, but there isn't. You just click on it, and also click on that notification bell icon that you see there, because that way there you will never miss any of the notifications when we have special guests, when we have surprise pop-up shows and other cool things that we do here on JMS, on the Jim Master Show Live. Also, if you enjoy this episode or any of our episodes, something else that really helps us big time, YouTube loves it, so do we, is if you can click like on this episode, on this video. That's that thumbs up. Just give it a like there. We would love that. And that's a beautiful thing. And also leave a comment. Leave a comment on the actual channel underneath this episode. Let us know how much you've enjoyed it. That means a lot to us as well. So hope you guys are doing well. We welcome you from wherever you're watching. The viewers call themselves the Lovities. I mention that during each show because we always get new people watching. So they may hear this word Lovity bantered about and they're like, I don't understand what this Lovity thing is. Last summer, I just happened to have it slip out of my mouth. When I was saying the show has a lot of light, love, and levity, out came Lovity. So then the viewers said, all right, that's it, Jim. We are your Lovity squad. I'm like, wow, I love that. I have a Lovity squad. So they're the faithful viewers who watch all the time from all around the world, United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, you name it. And you are now Mr. Lovity, and this is Lovity Hall. I love that. So that's part of the vibe, some old school vibes of the Dick Cavett, Johnny Carson, some of the legend legendary broadcasters with a modern vibe and a modern twist of today. And speaking of today, boy, do we have an outstanding guest. Um, Fanny Brice is joining us, better known as Kimberly Faye Greenberg, and she right now is in New Jersey, and we're all excited to have her here on the show. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. In addition to conversation, we actually have some fabulous performance videos that she supplied us here on the Jim Master Show Live, she and her team. So we are going to be sharing those with you here on the show. But gang, look at that shot. That gives you an indication of the extraordinary transformation into the character. However, Kimberly is also a Broadway expert, and she's somebody who lives and breathes theater and stage and performance. Kimberly is the first and only actress to play leading roles in 2 off-Broadway musicals at the same time. The solo show One Night with Fanny Brice and her two-hander, Danny and Sylvia, the Danny Kaye musical at St. Luke's Theater. In addition, Kimberly's numerous portrayals of Fanny Brice, 4 shows, 2 CDs, have been critically acclaimed by the New York Times, Huffington Post, and Associated Press. Her solo show, Fabulous Fanny, the songs and stories of Fanny Brice, has been traveling the country for the past 8 years and is streaming on the Stellar platform, which is a subsidiary of Gold Star, where it has also been named one of the best to stream by Time Out New York, American Theater Magazine, FilmLiveMusicals.com, Times Square Chronicles, the Theater Development Fund, and more. On Broadway, Kimberly portrayed Fanny Brice in Speakeasy, Dollhouse, Ziegfeld, Midnight Frolic at the Liberty Theater, Broadway's only hidden theater. And her Fanny Brice portrayal also continues as part of the Broadway-bound musical Ghostlight by Matthew Martin and Tim Realbuto. Quickly becoming the go-to gal for Fanny, Kimberly is sought after for her in-depth Brice perspective, with interviews and articles about Fanny Brice and her influence on early Broadway and American modern culture. And they have been published and aired in various circuits, including the vintage Nouveau Zelda magazine, Fox 5, WNYW in New York, Newsday, and so much more. She's also worked across the board in theater, film, television, and more for over 20 years. Most recently, she played Rachel Michelson in the HBO miniseries, The Plot Against America. And offstage, she has worked backstage as a Broadway wardrobe swing dresser on over 20 Broadway shows. Did you know that? Yeah, she's been doing that. Very versatile, been doing a lot of different cool things. And she loves every aspect of the business. Absolutely. Some of those shows include Mean Girls, Something's Rotten, The Lion King. She's also one of the top 10 performing arts coaches in the world, as well as known as the Broadway Expert. And she loves to inspire, educate, and work with proactive on-stage and backstage artists and future artists to help conquer the New York market. It's really amazing what she does. Her interviews and articles and Broadway content have been featured and have actually gone viral across a variety of news outlets, including some of the Bibles in the business like Backstage, Theater Nerds, Theater Mania, and much, much more. That is just the short list, folks. Let's welcome her live and direct from, so it's not confusing, there is a place actually called West New York, New Jersey. And she's in it and she's there. And a few minutes, she's going to be heading to the city for more incredible productions. Fanny, excuse me, I mean Kimberly, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, oh, that's great. I got you laughing already. Perfect.
Yes, and I'm happy to be
best way to
among
start.
the Lovities.
Oh, yes. Isn't that a cool thing? You and I were chatting before I went live on the show about how that whole Lovity thing happened. And, you know, sometimes that just happens, but, you know, it's either osmosis or Freudian slips or it's just whatever it is, an instinct, a vibe, and you roll with it, right?
Exactly.
Which you do, you roll with everything.
And I try. Whatever's thrown at me, I say,
just
okay,
throw it at me, and if it doesn't, right, and if it doesn't work and gets too much, I have Tums right next to me, and I could take those.
Great, perfect. That's perfect.
That's it. So how are you today? Looks like you're in good spirits and things are going well. Because obviously, as we all know, we've been dealing with some very unusual and not exactly the most happy times in life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're going to be reading about this in the history books in perpetuity. What we've, pandemics and the economy and all these things, social, political, everything. But for you, as a performer who the thirst is and the hungers for the stage and the communal experience. How have you been, Kimberly? And what are some of the things you've been doing to stay creative, collaborative, connected, and as I always say to the guests, sane? And
Oh
usually that's
God.
the part where they say, I'm not sane. I'm not. Get back to me on that one, Jim.
Yeah, I think there was a little crazy happening in here. I mean, I think that's just part of the
It's
DNA of
part of
being a
what it is.
performer. um, it's been an interesting time as far as the pandemic. Actually just got back on stage last week for the first time in a year and a
Great.
half, which was
Yeah.
crazy. So we can talk about that in a bit. But
Yeah.
I've always been somebody who, before the pandemic, has always had my hands in a lot of pots, as I think many of us, you
Yes.
included, do. Because in order to survive in this business, that's kind of you need to spread your wings a little bit. If you're focused on one thing, it's hard to stay steady and making money and things like that. So I've always been somebody who has my hands in a lot of pots, which actually paid off in a lot of ways during the pandemic, because I had my Fanny Brice show that was touring across the country, and I had a video, and I had a friend who is a producer who suggested, oh, maybe you should try streaming it. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Would people want to watch? I don't know. So that was something that I figured out during the pandemic, and that took on a life of its own. And obviously I developed a lot of other skills in the process that kept me creative in a new way that I had not experienced before. So there was that. In a normal time, I would coach, actors and backstage artists working on Broadway and getting jobs, things like that. But obviously during the pandemic, most artists were not looking to have that kind of work because there wasn't any work to be had to work
Right.
towards. But I did end up being able to work with some artists through a workshop that I started with two other collaborators, Ashley Kate Adams and Michael Kushner. And we were basically teaching people how to become more of a multi-hyphenate artist, somebody who is willing to do all the things and create your own work and kind of inspire others to do what we've been doing, which is, again, people discovered during the pandemic that, being so ultra concentrated in one area could actually be to your detriment
Right.
in a pandemic. So we were able to kind of help spread our wings in that, and that was a very creative time. And of course, like a lot of us, we pivoted to online, to doing Zoom performances or lectures or chats, or kind of just figuring out which ways that we could move as far as staying sane and creative. I know with my own actor world, I focused a lot of leveling up my own actor business as far as auditions. And we now are in this world. If those of you who are not actors, we usually audition in person for everything, but everything has gone online, which means we're doing everything on our end. So we have to have the light set up and the camera, and we have to have the room, and we have to learn how to put ourselves on video so it looks
Self-taping.
good,
Yeah.
self-taping. So that was a learning curve that took a while. So I do a lot of that, and I still, like any artist, am in class and continuing to just do what I can to work towards goals and stay sane and stay creative, so that as the world is opening, as we are, knock wood,
Yes.
things continue, to build and move forward as we have been doing before the pandemic.
How did you get started in all of this fabulous, incredible, terrific, crazy, unpredictable, demanding business like we're all in? How did you first get started early on, Kimberly, as that youth running around in the kitchen, playing with the pots and pans and doing all kinds of funny things to encourage people to to see the talent. What were some of the things you did as a kid and what were some of the inspirations around you that might have spurred this interest in the arts and performance?
Yeah, well, I think innately I always had it in me. In my immediate family, I was the one person who was really into that kind of thing. My sister was a little bit into dance. But for the most part, I was the one who was like, I want to do chorus, I want to play the violin, I want to go in dance lessons. But I think my mom said that in the crib, I was already dancing and singing to the Mickey Mouse Club that had been
Yeah.
on TV at that time, which was the second incarnation of the Mickey Mouse Club after the original. And then starting in about fourth grade, I had found out I really loved the arts. I started singing in like the school chorus, and I started playing the violin, and that was a big
You did that too.
transition. Oh yes, I
Yeah.
played in the orchestra all through high school, all through junior
It's
college.
not easy to master that. I did it,
Woo!
in the teenage years, early teens, and you start out with.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that was definitely a ride. My parents and I invested a lot of time and energy into the violin. I opted later on to kind of put that aside to go into performing more full time. I do regret that a little bit now, but I wish I could still play like I
Stick
used
with it.
to, but
Yeah.
I can play a little bit, but not like what I used to play. It's not like riding a bike, as people might say that.
No.
Not like riding a bike.
But never say
Um,
never. You may go back to it one day, right?
Never say never. I have picked it up several times since. It's not too shabby, but it's hard when you used to sound a certain way and now you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not so
That's
great.
not
But
quite what
not
it
quite
was
up
like
to
when I was 12.
no. But then I kind of in high school got really involved in the theater arts and drama. I was in a cast in a television show when I was in high school, hosting a health and nutrition series for teens, which was a lot of fun. And then I ended up doing an internship as well as at a local professional theater company called Sacramento Music Circus, which still exists today. And we had to do everything. And that was such a typical summer stock of, one show's at night, one show's during the week, and each show lasted a week. And it was like a total of 8 weeks. And it was big Broadway stars and TV stars who were playing the leads, and we were doing all the other stuff. And that was the time when I was like, oh, I really, really, really want to do this. And that's when I
Yeah.
went to school for it and graduated. And then the rest is kind of history. Here we are. I kind of do all the things, and it has all come back full circle since the time I did the internship, because not only was I performing at that point, but I was also working backstage as a dresser. And a lot of that has still influenced my journey to today, because I still do all of those things. If it wouldn't have been for that, I probably would not be doing all of those
Doing
things.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you grew up where again?
I was in a military family, but we
So
didn't
moved around a lot.
We didn't move actually too much, but my dad was in the Navy, but we lived in Virginia and we lived in California, and it was kind of a little bit back and forth. But for the most part, we spent a good solid amount of time. I'm originally from Southern California, ended up back in California for high school and for college. And then after which point a few years later, moved to New York. So I've been in New York now over 20, almost 21, 22 years,
Feels like home.
crazy. It feels like home now. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
way past that 10-year mark.
That 10-year mark, the 10-year itch.
As I say.
What was the thing that initially brought you to New York, other than, of course, the excitement, the opportunities? But was there a particular project or something that you were going after, or that brought you into the Big Apple?
Well, it's funny. In college, I went to UC Irvine in California. They have a program where you study in New York for a month, and you work with a lot of very big, heavyweight Broadway people, and you audition and you kind of learn the market. And I remember during that time, I loved it. I was in heaven, and I knew that musical theater, while I do all the things, musical theater at that point was where my main focus was. After college, I started working right away, ended up going on several tours and things like that. And when I was on tour, we were on the East Coast. And I was like, I have nothing for me back in California. Let me just move to New York. So I have that quintessential artist story. I literally had a couple $100s to my name, and I called down the list of alumni at my college. Didn't know any of these people, and I basically said, listen, I'm going to move to New York. Do you know of a place where I could live? And one of them said, yes, I have a room opening up in my apartment. Would you like it? I said, yes, sight unseen. It was in Weehawken, New Jersey. I didn't even know where that was, but they were like, don't worry, it's close. It's 10 minutes to the city. I was like, okay. So literally I finished up that tour and I had 2 suitcases and I moved to this apartment sight unseen and into New Jersey. And it was the very beginning of January 2000. And I remember the first thing I did the next day after I moved in, I was like, well, I'm going to need some money. I only have $200.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute, I did all this.
Yeah.
I think about the money part first, right?
So I walked myself into a temp agency the very next day. I didn't waste any time. And they hired me and I just started working for a temp agency, jobs that they send you out on.
Sure, yeah.
And then a few months later, I was auditioning and working and booking work and working as an actor.
What was the first gig, the first project that came along for you that really was, important and monumental and sort of opened up those doors in a way?
I had a lot of things, and I'd have to look at my resume just to see what a lot of those things are. But one of the big things is 2 things that stand out in my mind. I booked a production of Fiddler on the Roof in Arizona. And I also booked a cruise ship at that point in time.
Cool. Yeah.
I booked a lot of work that took me out of town for obvious reasons.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
Of course. When you're young and you're like, I can go anywhere and do anything. It's great. It's just wonderful. Yeah.
So that was cool. What was it like on the cruise ships?
It was very interesting. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. I was on a ship called the Scotia Prince, which sailed from Maine to Nova Scotia and back. It didn't do a lot of traveling, but it was a cruise ship. And we did a couple of shows a day, musical theater reviews. And I was on that ship when September 11th happened. So that was a whole nother
what was that
in and
like?
of itself.
How did they handle that? Did they tell everybody what was happening right away, or keep it quiet?
I don't have good stories about that time in my life, unfortunately. And I've talked to others who were on ships at that time, and we all have very similar stories. Which is, I will preface this with, I wouldn't mind working on a cruise ship again now that I understand the workings of a cruise ship, but I didn't at that point.
At that time, right?
At that time, but unfortunately, at that time, cruise ships, if people don't know, they're owned basically by, and the rules of governance are under like the laws of the sea, which are very different than like United States law. And all ships are owned by different countries. So depending on the country that the ship is registered in, it might follow those laws. So it's very different. But I did learn at the time that there wasn't a lot of us from the States who were on the ship. There was like 6 or 7 of us who were all performers, and the rest were from other countries. Everybody was really lovely. But we did learn at the time that there are people out there in the world who were not so fond of us in the States, which was unfortunate.
You learned that when you leave our confines of the East and West Coast.
Yes, and that was a wake-up call. It was also a wake-up call because we weren't under United States rule, and we did have this big thing happen. We were not allowed off in the States, and there was a lot of rules and regulations put into place because of what was happening in the world. It was a difficult time, I will say. I saw some of that it's interesting because during the pandemic, you saw quite a bit of that play out more on national news.
Yes.
And people were stuck on the cruise ships during the pandemic. It was very much looking back at what I had been through, much more of a massive scale during.
Were you sort of reliving it a little when you were seeing it?
A little bit. I just knew what these people were going
You felt
through.
for them.
I really felt for them, because you're kind of at the mercy of what's happening. You don't have control. You unfortunately are just at the mercy of what's happening around you. You're in the middle of the ocean.
There's international laws, and it's not necessarily where you can call DC and say, get us out of this.
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work
so you
like
sit
that.
and you have some of the baked Alaska and you just wait.
Well, unfortunately, you don't even have the baked Alaska,
you don't even get
because you are working on the ship. So they're not making you the baked Alaska. You're having whatever is the leftovers.
Sal and Frida are getting the baked Alaska, but you're working. Yeah.
Yes, and more than likely you're still working. So there you go.
Still working.
But it's interesting. A lot of wonderful things came out of that time in my life, and I will say I did have a great time. But it also just opened my eyes to a lot of other things that I was not privy to at the time, being young, and I didn't know.
Teachable moments, life
learning. You just don't know these things until you're out in the world and experiencing life. So
I wish I knew then what I know now. It's one of those moments, but
it is.
But again, experiences. It's all part of life experiences, and you take it and you run with it, and maybe even pull elements of it and include it in the things you do going forward.
Right.
What happened from there? How did the whole Fanny Brice opportunity happen? Have you always had a real appreciation for it? What was that impetus for you to really make it such a passion in the way that you have so beautifully?
Well, it wasn't on my brain at all. I had been told in my younger years in high school, I did have a teacher who said to me, if you want to be a musical theater performer, looking the way you do, you're Jewish, you should look at Fanny Brice and Funny Girl, because for obvious reasons. And it's interesting. I have some photos of Fanny behind me. And if you were to pull up a couple photos of us online making the same expression, we're very we look very similar. It's very interesting. So thank you. That picture of me is very fun.
These are great shots.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So basically, coming back circle actually to one of the shows I remember iconically on my journey, and I remember it iconically because of this moment, which is I was doing a production of Fiddler on the Roof in Arizona, and their next season they were going to have Funny Girl. And this production and all the people still hold a wonderful place in my heart. So there's no animosity when I say this.
No.
But they had mentioned to me about the potential of playing Fanny Brice in their production of Funny Girl in the following year. And so that was my first impetus to really actually get familiar with the part. I grew up listening to Barbara. My mother had all the Barbara albums. It's all we listened to. So
isn't it funny
with that?
You don't even have to say the last name. You just say Barbara, and everybody knows, they know who you're talking about.
I love Barbara.
Babs.
Oh, she's so great. But little did I realize where she had come from, and the fact that even many of her songs are all originally Fanny tunes.
Yeah.
So I studied the role in Funny Girl, and I literally I drove my teachers crazy because all I wanted to do was work on that material. And I studied it for a year, because even to this day, if you either give me a challenge or you give me a potential opportunity, I'm all in. I'm so all in. And so I dove all in, and I spent a year learning this material. But guess who didn't then book the job? Me. I didn't book the job. Okay,
after all of that, huh?
Life learning didn't work.
Life learning
due to a bevy of reasons. But it's interesting because I do also believe in the power of the universe and things working out. About a year and a half, a couple years later, I ended up booking a show called The Kid from Brooklyn, starring Brian Childers, who you had on your show recently. And that a lot of that came from my impetus of learning Fanny, because again, Sylvia Fine is another chutzpah, Jewish, historical woman, and I could bring a lot of that to that role. So I spent numerous years doing The Kid from Brooklyn, and then opening another show with Brian called Danny and Sylvia, the Danny Key musical off Broadway. Now, when I was in that show, another person saw me in that show and said, I have a solo Fanny Brice musical. Would you be interested in workshopping this show with me? So all comes full circle. So I said, of course. And we spent a year workshopping the show. We ended up doing a performance of it. We ended up making a CD. And then through a bevy of other life circumstances, I did end up opening the show off Broadway at St. Luke's in conjunction with Danny and Sylvia. And that show was called One Night with Fanny Brice. And then people started seeing me in that show, and it was getting great reviews. My performance was getting great reviews, and people were seeing it. And so then I ended up in several other shows as Fanny. I ended up in the Ziegfeld Midnight Frolics at the Liberty Theater. I ended up in Ghostlight. And then people were asking me for my own show because they wanted more. So I ended up writing my own show for several different venues that wanted a Fanny Brice show. And that was 9 years ago now, at least. And that took on a life of its own. I did my show, and then people would tell people, and they would call me and be like, we want your show. And then so I kept doing it, and the show kept getting bigger, and it ended up going from this 1 hour show to this fully produced 2 hour show. And it was being done in big theaters of like 500 seats. It was being done in smaller houses and for groups, for private groups, depending on what it was. I had several versions. I made an album. And then that's how it's gone. And now, of course, people come to me because I've done so much research on Fanny, asking for my expertise on the woman, and the show just keeps living on.
That's fantastic.
I was just answering a need. It wasn't like in my periphery to create this one woman show. I never even thought about creating my own work at the time. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, I'll figure it out. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to invest time, energy, and money, because it could be something I could have for the rest of my life. And it has proven that not only do I have the show, but it has helped garner me other work. It has started a whole nother business of me helping other people do the same.
Right. What's the feedback been too from, the peers, the industry, from fans? I'm sure it's been extraordinary, huh?
It's been really cool. I definitely have Fanny fans, because everything you see behind me, and there's a ton more, has been given to me by Fanny. Here, I'll do this because now you see me. And there's more actually in front of me as well. But they've been given to me by fans who have seen the show, which has been really wonderful and amazing. I've been lucky enough to have some wonderful reviews by some major outlets. And of course, just the fact that people continue to want to see it is what's been amazing. And then too, especially like during the pandemic, it not only gave me an outlet to put my creative art out there as far as Fanny and stream it, but it still allowed people to see me as a performer as well, which has been
very important, right?
Really exciting. And I have a niche now of, I get called in to play like the New York historical women, sometimes Jewish women, sometimes not, but it has created a niche of where my phone rings to be like, we'd like Kim to do this part, or open the door to audition for.
Don't you just love that word, niche? That's a great word.
It is a great word.
Our very special guest, Kimberly, has a niche.
I have a niche.
Isn't that awesome? Niche. You worked all this time, all your life, to get a niche.
I have a niche. Yes.
Yes. That's what it is. Hey, we've got several different cool videos to show, but we can kick it off with the Fab Fanny 15-second spot. Just give it a little bit of a tease.
Yes, a little.
You want to tell us a little bit about it? Preface it a little.
Oh, well, this is the promo for, I believe, for my live show that travels the country. So it'll just give you a little what it is, what it all is about. That's all it is, really. It's just to like whet your appetite.
Just whet that appetite, gang.
You want to see the show, right? You want to see the show.
That's it. Here it is. 15 seconds of Fab Fanny. Here we go.
Everyone knows that I'm just second-hand rose from Second Avenue.
And there it is.
Wow. Gotta have more. Gotta have more.
Gotta have more. Gotta
We
have
do have
more.
more too. Also, fabulous Fanny Brice streaming. Let's talk about that too, because we had a nice clip from there. It's a whole new world, as we all realize. And I think, those of us who have been involved with the internet and online, but have been sort of schooled in the traditional, like me, television, radio, journalism, the actual big TV stations, radio stations, the studios and all. And now we're doing all the internet and online in addition to the original way of doing things. The online has really become, and the pandemic has thrust so many people into understanding the online. For me, because I've always dabbled in it and because I'm used to screens and all of this, it was a semi-easy transition because I've been doing it anyway. I know for some people who are not used to doing this at all, they're like, oh my God, what? No, put me back on stage or get me back in the studio. How about you? The advent of the incorporation of the online performances and everything is a whole new thing that we've been thrust into rather quickly.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It did have its challenges, and I feel like for me, I think I was one of the first people to actually have like a show online. And in the reason I say that is the fact that it's a live stream. People get confused. A live stream is a show that's just showing in real time, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily live.
Exactly.
It could be taped in advance. So
Right.
people do have the confusion of that. But I had this video, so I had to edit my show video into a format that would be watchable for a streaming audience, meaning shortening it, add credits, do all those things. So that involved editing. But then I had to figure out how in the world do you even stream. I had no idea. And at that point in time, in the very early on in the pandemic, we really didn't have a lot of platforms to actually be able to do that.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of options. So I actually experimented first with doing everything, kind of like running my own business and broadcasting it on YouTube at a certain time, having people pay for tickets through my website and then giving out the link and all of that. So that was an interesting learning curve. And then eventually I was asked to do it on the Stellar platform, which was something created by Gold Star out of the pandemic. I was lucky to be one of the first people that they asked to be on the platform. But that was an interesting. I love streaming on that platform, but for me, it did take a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, it can be labor intensive too.
Yes, it was very technical. So I just had to figure out, like, on top of everything else, people don't realize, like, I know you're behind the scenes now while we're chatting, like editing the show as we go, multitasking, and I'm doing the same thing when
posting and producing on the fly, right?
Exactly. And it requires a whole nother computer program up on your screen, and you got to make sure that the internet is good. There's the trick, because internet is, you cannot
can make or break
the internet.
If it tries as much as it can to put egg on your face.
Yes, and you that's something
it's not always your friend.
No, that's something totally out of your control. Like, you realize now, having done the streaming thing, like when you're watching television and you see like something technical happen, you go, oh, I feel so bad, because
please stand by.
That's not their fault. It's just the way that it kind of works out. So you have some things that are out of your control, but it's also just a technical learning curve, which as you do it becomes easier. But
you had that training of and that understanding of being in situations that you couldn't necessarily control back on those cruise ships.
Yes, and in other things in my life as well.
And in life in general.
Life in general. But you do have to embrace the fact that, like, okay, it is almost like a live show, in the fact that in the very beginning I would sit there and go, well, I would be glued to my screen watching the video of me perform, watching the internet, watching the other thing and how it was going out of my computer to the world, and being like, oh no, don't die. oh no, the internet's gonna go out.
It's gonna
Oh
it's
no,
right in the
what's
middle
gonna
of this.
happen? What happens if it goes out during my show? What do I do? It's like, so you have those thoughts,
All of it
because
at the same time as
all
it's
of it at the
happening.
same
People
time.
don't realize what's involved because we make it look so easy and smooth, but to get it to be like that, and even when it is happening, as it's happening, there's a lot of, if anybody's ever been in a television news
Yeah,
control room
it's
during the
exactly
6
like
o'clock
that.
news,
Yeah.
there's a lot of words said that you couldn't necessarily say uh, at
Yeah.
church or in a synagogue.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
lot of things that happen, like camera one, no, not camera
yeah,
one. I
yes.
told you camera two. No,
Yeah,
pull it
yeah.
off. Oh, he fell out of the
Yeah.
chair. And it's really interesting. I'm not sure about you. I'm sure I'm getting the vibe that you're the same way, that when I've been in many situations, and we talk about it on this show a couple of times, even on this show, Wi-Fi, the guests has to dip off for a second to grab their Oscar or whatever it is. The
Yeah.
cat jumps on their lap. So we see the empty chair. We have this
Yeah.
whole situation now where we've seen so many empty chairs of the guests because they had to get up quick to get something, and then they come back, that the viewers have said, you know what, maybe you should just do a whole show where we show the empty chairs of the guests and we will guess who
was
sat in
sitting
that
there.
chair.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
when things are chaotic during live, whatever it is, stage, television, radio, any of these things, I actually, even though I don't love surprises and I don't love chaos, and I work throughout my entire life to try to prevent problems before they happen, which can really be exhausting, you're trying to be on the ahead of the curve of life. It doesn't always work out that way. But when these chaotic things happen, when lights burst and sets fall down, and I've been in TV studios and in situations where these major things have happened.
Yep.
I love, even though I loathe those moments and I try to avoid them, or try to make sure that they never happen. Think of all of the I dotting and the T crossing. When they happen, I love it because I'm in the zone. The adrenaline is on.
Yeah.
Everybody else is panicking and freezing and yelling and screaming. And I'm like, I come in calmly and let's figure this out. And the key is to make it look like it was on purpose. It was supposed to happen. And I love those moments. And I'm sure you've had many moments where, boom, all right, this is what just happened. This is not good, but we are on stage or we are live on air, whatever it is. We got to make magic out of this quickly.
I have had many of those instances, and you just got to go with the flow. I mean, I've worked backstage on Broadway shows where sets have literally come crashing down.
Yes.
And the show has stopped. And then stop cold. Now, in a theater situation, when you're live and you have audience loves that kind of stuff. Like they love being there when that random thing happens that nobody else has seen before. But you're coming at it from somebody who's actually in the middle of it is not so great. I mean, I remember performing in One Night with Fanny Brice off Broadway, and I had to change my shoes on stage in front of everybody. I had to put on tap shoes so I could do a fun little tap number. And I remember the whole buckle on my shoes totally broke while I was doing the show. The New York Times was in the audience for a review. I had found out afterwards. But like, I think I did the show. Of
course they were there.
I did it barefoot. I think I did the whole number barefoot. I can't even remember.
Did you?
It was either barefoot or I had to take the time to go back and put my other shoes back on, but it was like a whole shoe thing. But like, we all have those moments as a dresser. I've had the moment of, oh God, this was when I was an intern. I was dressing, funny enough, Laurie Beachman in Funny Girl.
Oh yeah.
At Music Circus when I was very young, and she had to put on this really great outfit for Henry Street. And I remember the zipper totally broke. Like there was no way we could put her in this outfit because it was in the round. And if she went out and everyone would like see her naked, it wasn't going to work. And she had to go out in a robe in her like backstage robe. She had to go out. But like, there are like these crazy things that happen. And the same with the screaming. You just don't know, like the show could just crash And then what do you do? Do you know what I mean? You have
Oh,
people
we've had
watching and the
sometimes,
show crashes and you're like,
or you have where, and again, because Wi-Fi is still, even though it's been around, the internet, the
oh
Wi-Fi,
yeah,
it's still like a new
oh
baby in
yeah,
comparison to theater and television and newspapers, magazines and radio and everything else. It's still, there's so many variables, weather, and
yeah,
you could have clouds and a storm over your house, and all of a sudden,
yeah.
we're talking and our
It's gone.
video goes blurry,
It's gone.
or
Yeah.
it's like and
Yep. Yep.
and you're talking and talking. Sometimes you might not even realize it, but the viewers see it.
Yeah.
So you just have to roll with whatever it is and keep your fingers and toes crossed through it all. But it's a whole new thing for a lot of people, but you've embraced it, and we have that clip. I'd love to show that clip
Okay.
with the streaming. It's fabulous Fanny Brice streaming. Did you
Oh
want
yeah.
to want to preface that at all?
This is another promo for the stream. So
We are teasing our
we're
audience
just
today.
teasing. We're just teasing. You'll get a kick out of it, I think, with the whole idea of the COVID in the video.
In the video, yeah. I was going to say, somebody just joined us now and they were like, what? Kick out of COVID? What?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Fanny Brice made it through the Great Depression with style, and COVID ain't gonna stop her now. If you can't go to the theater, this brassy, sassy, funny girl will bring it right to your living room. And even the critics are raving.
From second.
Fabulous Fanny, the songs and stories of Fanny Brice.
No.
Now streaming.
That cracks me up.
I love it. Now streaming. Perfect. Fabulous Fanny Brice.
Yes,
I love it.
yes, thank
That's
you.
very well done too. The whole thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
We now we'll give them a little bit more since we've whet their appetite.
We should. They've earned it.
How about A Nightingale Can Sing the Blues?
Oh, that's lovely. Sure. Why not?
Want to
Yeah.
preface that for anybody who's not familiar maybe with the material?
Yes, so this is not a Fanny Brice tune. We only have a couple of tunes in the show that are not in any relation to Fanny Brice. This tune is in the live show. So we have several versions of the show. We have the live full 2-hour show, and we have a shorter 1-hour live show, and then we have a streaming version. So if you were to see our show live in a big theater, you would see this song in the show. And in the idea of this show, it's Nick has left her, Nick Arnstein, her second husband. She's married 3 times. This was the gentleman that's showcased in Funny Girl, except we delve much deeper into Nick Arnstein into our show, and he has left her, and she's singing about it. So there you go.
All right. Great introduction to this next piece of wonderful material. A Nightingale Can Sing the Blues. Here's Fanny, Kimberly.
Got my feathers burned. Got my lesson learned. Guess that I was born to lose. Take it straight from me. Love is misery. Listen as I sing the blues. Ain't it a shame he had to go and grieve me? Some other dame has made him up and leave me. That's how it happens. A nightingale can sing the blues. Oh, put it straight. He found himself a new bird. He gave me the gate, and now I'm just a bluebird. That's how it happens. A nightingale can sing the blues. He can take me and forsake me just as quick as that when there's somebody new in town. But I'm betting he'll be frightened I've got a bird who's gonna get some teaching. Then he'll discover the nightingale can sing the blues. That's how it happens. A nightingale can sing the blues. People would ask.
Really, really nice.
Thank
Nicely
you.
done.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
You do really absorb the essence of the character. And you, like you said earlier, when you take on a role, you're all in. You almost, in a way, have to do a double take. And that's fantastic. I mean,
No, thank
you
you.
obviously, you've really studied her, you've studied the character, you've studied the nuances, the moves, the mannerisms, just the delivery, and transport yourself to a different time and place. You're in a zone, right?
It would seem that way a lot of the time. I mean, I go to some other place definitely when I do the show. It's a little bit of a different experience every time, but as it should be, because I'm trying to stay in the moment. But it's the feedback I get from a lot of people are like, "Wow, it was just like this whole Fanny Brice had just like popped off the page," which is wonderful, because that's my goal. Is this
Right.
woman was prolific. It's lovely to be able to continue her legacy in like a really great way. You know what I mean? Kind of honor it in the best way that I can.
Has anybody from the estate, from the relatives, the family of Fanny had any contact or seen it or heard about it?
So I haven't talked with any of immediate family. I mean, much of the family is deceased. She has grandkids now that are alive. But I have like extended family. I have had extended family of Nick Arnstein see the show. I have a friend who is a cousin of Billy Rose, who is her third husband. I've also am friends with and have been to Lynn Pezel's house. She owns the Fanny Brice house in Long Island, what used to be Fanny Brice's house. So I've been there and we've chatted, and she's seen my show. So I do have a periphery of people. Herbert Goldman, who wrote what I feel is the best biography of Fanny Brice's life, has seen all my versions of her, and has been ultra supportive of my portrayal of her as well. So I have had some really good ties to people who are in some form relation to her. It's very interesting how the pieces have fallen, because it's I even have a friend who I went to high school with who married the gentleman she married worked as Ray Stark's intern / assistant in college. And Ray Stark married Fanny Brice's daughter, who ended up producing and coming up with the idea of writing and producing Funny Girl. So he produced Funny Girl, which is so funny because literally in the one thing away from me are all of these people who have had some sort of relation to Fanny Brice, which wasn't like intended. It's not like it was just, they were already there on my periphery, and little did I know. So it's very interesting. I hope I can meet more immediate members of the family eventually. I would like to think they know that this show exists. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't know. But I'd like to think that I'm just doing my best to honor her, so that they would be proud of what is out there representing.
Oh, I'm sure. Her. Yeah, I'm sure more than you know.
More than you know.
And as wonderful as that segue is, you see what I'm doing there?
See where that's going.
Yes. Our next clip is More Than You Know. Tell us about this one.
Well, again, this is in the show. It's so funny how these clips are not technically Fanny tunes. Everything in my show is a Fanny tune or written by Billy Rose or in some way associated with her, with the exception of a couple tunes. But this song in my show, again, serves to showcase her love of Nick Arnstein. This was before, in my show, before they started experiencing a lot of problems. So she's singing about her love for Nick. So there you go. That's what this is.
All right. More Than You Know. Here we go. Enjoy, gang.
I loved that Nick was a dreamer. Oh, and boy, oh boy, did he dream big. And I wanted for nothing. So I got to help him dream. Whether you are here or yonder, whether you are false or true, whether you remain or wander, I'm growing fonder of you. Even though your friends desert you, even though you won't succeed, wouldn't I be glad to take you, give you the break you need? More than you know, more than you know, man of my heart, I love you so. Lately I find you're on my mind more than you know. Whether you're right, whether you're wrong, man of my heart, all string along. You need me so, more than you'll ever know. Loving you the way that I do, there's nothing I can do about it. Loving may be all you can say, but honey, I can't live without it. Oh, how I'd cry, oh, how I'd cry if you got tired and said goodbye. More than I'd show, more than you'd ever know.
Really nice. Really
Thank you.
nice.
And I should mention the toothbrush is kind of a funny little story. It's in my show, but Nick liked to showcase the fact that he was wealthy, even though he wasn't necessarily. Like, he did a lot of bad things to get his wealth. And the one thing that Fanny, when she first met him, found that she loved him because she went into his bathroom and he had like 7 toothbrushes, one for every day of the week. It's just completely hilarious, but yet.
But when you really think
Nick
about it, I bet you if you ask your dentist, they would probably say that health-wise is a smart thing to do.
Maybe.
So you don't keep
Yeah, maybe you're right. Who knows?
They're onto something there,
Maybe
I think.
They are onto something.
That was great.
Thank you.
We've got another one too we want to share with our lovely audience watching around the world. I'd Rather Be Blue.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that.
So this is, again, Nick Arnstein. He is convicted of the biggest heist in Wall Street history, which I think is in this clip. But so this is about her. It's about him being in jail and how much she misses him. And this is actually a Fanny Brice tune. So there you go.
This is actually a Fanny Brice tune.
Yes. And then most people will know this tune from Barbara singing it. But
Yeah.
This is originally a Fanny tune.
Has Barbara gotten wind of your performance at all?
I have a funny Barbara story. Should I tell that or wait till after the video?
Yeah, do it after the video.
Okay, we'll tell you
we've been
after the
teasing them
video.
the whole show, so we might as well tease them a little more. We
Okay.
had her sister, Rosalind Kind, was a guest on the show a couple of weeks ago, and she's a thrill too. Really, really class act. So anybody who didn't see that episode with Rosalind Kind, you can see that in 440 plus episodes of this entertainment lifestyle talk show series, the Jim Masters Show, on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And while you're there, subscribe, click the notification bell, give this episode a thumbs up, and leave a comment for us as well. I'd rather be blue. Here we go. Enjoy.
Oh, I'm sure you must have heard the news or read about it in the paper somewhere. Nick was convicted of the biggest heist in Wall Street history. Millions of dollars worth of Wall Street bonds. Well, Nick always said, next year I'll have $1 million. I probably should have asked him to be more specific. They put him on trial, and they put me on the stand to testify. I knew nothing. After they put Nick away, he calls me. He says, Fanny, sing, sing. I says, Nick, I am not serenading you over the phone. I'll look like an idiot. I can see the headlines now. Fanny sings to her husband his last swan song. He says, no, Fanny, sing, sing. The train leaves in an hour. Here am I, there you'll be, miles and miles apart from me. I can't see the good in goodbye. Still, best of friends have to part. Don't lose sleep and don't lose heart. You know me, so baby, don't cry. I'd rather be blue, thinking of you. I'd rather be blue over you than be happy with somebody else. How lonely the days are, nights are, until we meet without your caresses. My happiness is so incomplete. Fanny visits Nick every week and sing, sing. I need a little love, little kiss, little hug, and it's you that I crave. Honey, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. It's so hard to behave. Conductor leaves seat open on train from his Fanny Brice. I'd rather be blue, thinking of you. I'd rather be blue over you than be happy with somebody else. Will I be good? Will I be bad? Don't be a fool, you fool. My little flat, I'm turning that into a Sunday school. While you're away, I'm here to say there'll be no Iceman there. Singing the blues, I'm gonna use nothing but Frigidaire. I'd rather be blue, thinking of you. I'd rather be blue over you than be happy with somebody else. I'm crazy about ya, without ya. For you, I'm strong. I can't live without ya. Out ya, McGoucha, don't stay too long. I need a little ooh, little ah, little oh, and I'm knocking on wood. Honey, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. It's so hard to be good. Nick is finally released from prison. I'd rather be blue, thinking of you. I'd rather be blue over you than be happy with somebody else. Everyone knows that I'm just second-hand rose from Second Avenue. No.
Another tease, another tease. I forgot that was there.
Oh, that's great. Hey. So is this something where people can still see it now?
Yes. So basically, the show is now available to stream on stellartickets.com, the Stellar platform. You can also find tickets for it on Gold Star. And it streams on various days and times. So you just need to either go to Stellar Tickets or go to my website, which is fabulousfannybriceshow.com. And that'll tell you when the next live streams are. And they're shown in real time. So they're not on demand. And then I'm also the next live show. So as we're taping this, I did a live show a week or so ago in New York City. And now when this airs, I'll have another live show scheduled in New York for December 2nd at the Green Room 42. So you'll be able to see it live if you're in New York City. I also have 2 shows coming up, one in February in Green Valley, Arizona, and another in March in Overland Park, Kansas. So please, I can't give out that information yet because they haven't officially announced it on their websites. But
Your
just
website, yeah,
just check out my website, Fabulous Fanny Brice Show, and you can find out all the information and where to get tickets and things like that. And we're consistently adding dates to the stream. We're consistently adding live shows. We'll probably be in California and Texas and Colorado in 2022 as well. So if you're in any of those places, or if you have a group or a venue with which you feel would benefit from our show, just reach out and hopefully we could come to you.
That is very cool. Very cool. We have something else here that we want to show, and this is Kim's musical theater reel.
Oh boy. this is my other life. This is my other life. So here we go. Yeah.
All right. She's
as
a versatile
as an actress.
Yes, she's an all-around performer, and we're going to get a taste of that right now with her theater reel. Okay. Here we go.
The way that people come and go through temporary lives, my chance might come and I might never know. I used to say no promises, let's keep it simple. But freedom only helps you say goodbye. It took a while for me to learn that nothing comes for free. The price I paid is high enough for me. Something secondhand and broken still can make a pretty sound, even if it doesn't have a place to live. All the words were left unspoken when my mama came around, but that secondhand white baby breath still had something beautiful to give. Watch out now, but your choice to my arm and your crush, and it makes me warm. They don't know my heart's drummer. Nobody, no, nobody is gonna rain on my parade.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Very cool. Very cool. It
Thank
gives people a
you.
little sprinkling of some of the
Mhm.
incredible talent that oozes out of Kimberly.
Thank you.
You love what you do, don't you?
I love it. Yeah, it just makes my heart sing. When I was live this past week on a stage for the first time in a year and a half, like I just, it was magical. Like I just forgot what it's like to have all that adrenaline and to be in front of an audience and to be in the moment and doing what you do. It's pretty fantastic, I will say.
It
Pretty
really
fantastic.
is.
And it's an honor too to be able to like take people out of their life for even if it's just a moment or for however long and transport them somewhere. It's an honor to be able to do that. So
yeah, as much as
very
entertaining,
cool.
you're inspiring and empowering them as well, which is really important, right?
Yeah, I love it. And I want to backtrack for a second because I don't want them to think we forgot about the Barbara story. Really quick.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
We really kept
Just
them
because I think
waiting for that.
I think your audience would probably want that. I'm trying to keep my hair away from the mic. Okay, so a few years back, she was doing a talk at the Winter Garden. I think she was advertising her new album, and the Winter Garden Theater is where Funny Girl originally played. And what's also interesting about that is that was also where the final shows of the Ziegfeld Follies happened, where Fanny Brice would have played as well. So interesting little tidbit. But I was able to attend the talk, and I decided, with the help through a friend, she was like, "This is your opportunity to try to meet Barbara." She was like, "You should bring her some yellow roses." Yellow roses are in Funny Girl, the musical. Nick brings her yellow roses. So I brought a dozen yellow roses and a card and attached it to my album for my show. And I sent a little note that said, I'm the other Fanny Brice go-to gal. And I grew up listening to you, and you've been such an influence in really, truly, like, honestly, of what I've made my life's work out of. So I just wanted to, send this to you and thank you. And hopefully one day, we can meet. And I was sitting in the audience. We were just waiting for the show to start, and it must have come out at some point. Like somebody must have just brought them out. But I look over at the stage, the stage is decked out in like really big planters and some really pretty chairs, as you would for, a talkback that was also being filmed, and, photography and things like that, very dressed. And they're on this little table next to her chair and her water, this little thing of yellow dozen roses. And I was like, those are my flowers. So she had someone bring them out and put them on the table. And then she referred to them during her talk as well. So I felt like she had given me a little shout out to having brought
leveling
those
up
for her. Yeah, so that was really, really lovely. I mean, I hope if anybody's watching, Rosalind, if you would like me to introduce
Rosalind
your sister, I would love that. But no pressure there.
If Rosalind would like it, if Rosalind would be kind enough.
Yes, exactly. How that works out. But obviously, I would love to meet her one of these days. Maybe sing a little secondhand rose. I don't know.
Have you gone to the performances, like when she was at Barclays and all these other?
I did. I went to her last concert at Barclays. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, sold out.
I mean, I'm a huge fan. How can you not be?
Right, exactly.
Ooh, yeah.
So, in addition to all of this, the Broadway Expert. Tell us about that.
Yes.
That's very cool.
So the Broadway Expert kind of was a name that was penned for me. Like it was just kind of happened. With having done Fanny, having worked backstage on Broadway, having worked on stage, having also kind of had a business sort of mind as far as career, pursuing my career and things like that. And people started asking me how I was doing what I was doing. Can you teach me how to do what you're doing? Can you tell me how I can get a job backstage as a wardrobe dresser? Can you help me make my own solo show? Things like that. So people started asking me for my advice, and it kind of turned into me becoming a business coach for actors, for backstage artists, for creatives. And then it kind of penned into the Broadway Expert because it also aligned me with creating content and doing videos and writing articles for like entities like Backstage, where I'm an expert, Theater Nerds, which I've made a ton of content for, where I wrote about working on stage and backstage on Broadway, or made videos or did interviews, hosted content with interviews with people who work on Broadway. So I kind of became the go-to person for those for outlets that wanted to know more about what it's like to work on stage and backstage on Broadway. And that's how I penned the name, the Broadway Expert. It was kind of given to me. So that's how it works out. So it's definitely on the coaching end of the spectrum, or on the inspiring or educating end about becoming a working performing artist, or kind of educating those who love Broadway and love theater on what goes into making a Broadway show, things like that.
Tell us about that, the coaching aspect of what you're doing. That's a whole other arena, and that can really be very inspiring and empowering for others who are coming up the ranks, and really make it a little bit easier for them having a coach. Coaching, I've interviewed lots of coaches, executive coaches, leadership coaches, a lot of different in my professional world, and television, radio as well, as everything else. And even the coaches have coaches.
Yes.
It's really a cool thing. It can really give you a leg up. Things you've learned along the way, you can impart that wisdom onto the client or the individual that is listening and soaking it up. And that can maybe allow them to avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the things that happen, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, again, I didn't seek this out. It kind of was, I was answering a need, and it kind of became a thing that I wouldn't have anticipated doing. But yes, I will say that as somebody who has spent over 20 years in the business, the first 10 years of it, even more than that, I was figuring it out as I was going along. I was trying things, they weren't working, I was failing, I was succeeding. And really, truly, in the coaching, what has been so cool is, like, I feel that there shouldn't be secrets. I feel like this is a collaborative art form. We should be helping each other rise. I want to help people work smarter, not harder, so that they don't make the same mistakes I did. What it took me 5 or 6 years to realize, I can tell to someone in 5 minutes, like, you don't need to try that way. Why don't you think about it this way? But I also like to impart the fact that there aren't any rules in this business. So the thing is, with artists, it can become overwhelming of like where to go next or what to do next. And I like to show them that creating your own way is also good if you can just think about it too as a business person. And, just look at those strategies and how can you twist or turn them to help you in what you uniquely offer to the world. So that's like what I love, because again, that's kind of like just coincides with everything I've done in my career, which is like kind of just figure it out as we go along, which in essence, we're mostly doing that anyway. But I myself, in coaching others, also realized, hey, you can ask for help. So I do too. I mean, I have a life coach / business coach. I have other coaches and teachers and mentors whom I look up to in the business, once I started helping others, realized, I should really be doing the same thing as well. How imperative and important that is as well for me to feel like I can do that as well. So I take my own advice and do the same thing. It's like, and in inspiring others too, it also helps me to stay on track with my own goals, because I still have my own goals as a performer, as an actor, as a business person. What is those things that I want to be achieving? So it kind of keeps me on track too. Like when I see their successes, then I want to push harder and learn other things so that I can give it back to them. And also, seeing them make a success makes me want to continue to move forward. So it's kind of a full circle thing. It's very cool. I mean, 10 years ago, asked me about coaches and life coaches and business coaches and all that. And I would have like kind of not kind of scoffed a little bit of like, I don't think I need that. But in the way that my life has involved, it's just super, super important. Like once you open yourselves up, I think it comes with age too, as you open yourself up to like knowing that these things are there and people do want to help you, like honest to God. There are people who don't. There are those people in the business, but like you find your tribe and you find your people, and it's really kind of amazing what happens when you do that.
That's very, very cool, because as you're helping others and inspiring others, you're helping yourself and then being inspired along the way. It is really like a full circle situation, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And you need that in this business because there's just so much negativity. Even in talking to you today, it's like, oh yeah, I have to remember things too, like, to keep my brain. Because I mean, I have my fair share of disappointments.
Sure.
Obviously, you know what I mean? Like
we all
so
do.
it just it helps to keep the brain in the going in the right direction as well by
Positive,
refocusing.
forward.
Yep, positive, forward, momentum. What can you do next, kind of thing,
Have you thought of doing a TED Talk with any of this?
Not yet, but I guess that could be on the horizon eventually. I've got a book. I'm writing a book.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I am. I'm almost done with it. I only have a few more chapters to go. I don't know.
Maybe you can give us a teaser, because we've been teasing the whole show on what it will be in reference to.
It's for business and marketing strategies for performing artists. So it's a lot of what I uniquely offer to the world, because I feel like where I come from, it's very much catered to an individual and being like, here are strategies. Now, how can you take these and make them your own? So that's a lot of what I do. I work definitely in a more pointed way, than in a more honest way, but in an inspiring way. Than I feel like a lot of what we have out there in the world, which is not a bad thing because I grew up on these books, but it's more general speaking. So I, again, a niche market, but you know what I mean? That's where I had. So we'll see once I write the book, what happens with it. I'm not sure, but yes, be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout. She's coming. She's
coming.
Leveling up.
I don't know how long, but she's coming.
But she's coming. Get ready to hop on that train.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are some things that are on that Kimberly bucket list, things that you see out there for you that you still want to tackle, you still want to do, that you'd love to be a part of or create?
Yeah. I mean, I've been very lucky in my journey of all the work that I've done. I would never have envisioned the things I've been able to accomplish and do in the business. I still have yet to have my Broadway production contract. I've been in a Broadway show, but not under a production contract. So here's hoping that it hasn't quite aligned yet. I've been in the running for many, but hasn't aligned yet. So we'll see. I hope that is just one of those things.
1 degree of separation.
1 degree. So I'm like setting a little prayer. So something like that. Yes, mouth to God's ears. That will come to fruition one of these days, sooner, hopefully, than later. I've been working towards doing more TV and film, which has been really actually generous to me in the past few years, as far as things that I've been in the running for. And I had my first recur on an HBO Plot Against America show.
I mentioned
years
that.
ago.
What was that like? You must have really enjoyed that, huh?
It was. Again, it was magical. It was wonderful. You know what I mean? Like to be surrounded by like Zoe Kazan. I had a wonderful scene. was just me and Zoe Kazan in this gorgeous library. It was cut, however, so know that that's what happens with
That's what
actors.
happens,
That's what
right?
happens. I did end up on the editing room floor. I have a nice little thing in the fourth. That was in the third episode. I have a nice little quick thing in the fourth episode. It's fine. I don't negate that at all. But I met a bevy of wonderful people. Winona Ryder, David Simon, who's a writer and the showrunner. He is wonderful, amazing human. Minky Spiro, the director. Tommy Schlamme was the other director. So I met a bevy of amazing individuals, and that has since, even though that was on the cutting room floor, has opened a bevy of doors for me. So that has been very exciting, and I'm grateful for that. But I hope to do more as we continue to open in the pandemic. I foresee me doing more television and film, which is exciting to me. And then just to continue to expand on my consulting and my coaching, and have Fanny continue to live on. I don't know, Fanny is always surprising me on where I'm next. I never envisioned it would travel the country. Then I never envisioned it would be streaming. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it's always throwing me something new that I hadn't expected. So it wouldn't shock me if there's something else that I hadn't planned that comes my way through Fanny, because that seems to be what happens. So we'll see.
You mentioned television. What if somebody, knocked on the door or rang that phone and said sitcom?
I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
Of course.
You like comedy? Do you lean comedy, drama? What speaks to your heart?
I lean comedy or dramedy.
Dramedy,
But interestingly enough, a lot of the stuff that I have been in the running for as of recent, even like Plot Against America, was neither. So, but I still have the role that always has the little extra little, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what you would call it. Has a little bit of chutzpah in there. So, you can get a little chuckle or something.
Just a little bit of bite there.
A little bit of bite there.
Keep you excited. Yeah.
Yeah. The New York market, it's very different from Los Angeles. Being that I'm in the New York market, there's not a lot of comedy here. So if I were in LA, it might be a different story. But obviously I do skew more comedy just because of what I have done in my life. But
how about film too? Film.
Oh, of course. I would love to do film. I've done some independent films, but interestingly enough, as recent, most of my stuff is television related. But that wouldn't shock me either. But I love to work, so you know what I mean? If you'll pay me to act,
I will be there.
I'll be there.
And I will be there 15 minutes early.
Watching, I'll be 15 minutes, I'll be an hour early. You pay me to act.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be there.
Well, you're enjoying the ride, which is obviously evident, and it's obvious, because it takes a lot of emotional investment and blood, sweat, and tears, and all of these industries that we are in, and a lot of time. And the key to everything that we do, that you do, is to make it look easy and carefree and effortless. Like anybody can just do it.
That's the challenge.
All of what has happened leading up to that and is happening as it's happening is a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of everything, and a lot of your personal investment, your emotion, the physicality, the mental prowess, all of it is part of the mix. For somebody that's watching that wants to dip their feet into this world, what would you say to them? I know some people, I've asked that question too. They'll say, well, look, if you're only 50-50 about it, and the other 50 is to maybe be an accountant, you might want to go with the accountant, because you need to be 100% in, because a lot of things are going to happen along the way.
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely true. Like, if I've asked myself this 100 times, more than that, thousands of times, is there something else I would rather be doing? And the answer is no. So here we are. Because even I have the moments of like, I'm throwing in the towel. And the next day I'm like, why am I throwing in the towel? What else am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, so there is that. But that's one of the things is if there is anything else that you would rather be doing, do that versus this, because 90% of this work, in actuality, in any of the field that you're in this work, and not necessarily even as a performer, is hard. It requires a lot of time, energy, and money, and investment, and a lot of mostly no. Like 90% of the time, it's no, 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 no,
Right.
no, and no. So
and that's the part that people don't always expect.
That's the part you don't
Right.
expect. And then and there's a lot too in this business too, where you think, oh, this is the job that's going to like catapult to whatever that next thing is. And it's never that thing either.
No.
So it's never the thing you think. It's always the thing like out of left field that you didn't expect. And that's
somebody
usually,
you worked with before says, you know, I worked with Kimberly. She's amazing. She doesn't create waves. She works hard. She goes the extra mile. Let's bring her in on this.
Yeah, it's always that thing that is the thing. So so it's just really, I recommend it if this is where your heart is, and you can come into the business at any age, really, truly. I tell people, you know, wherever you are, your journey is great, and your journey is just your own journey. You can't really compare it to anybody else or where they are right now, which I even need to take my advice sometimes on that. But if you do want to be doing something else, then I would do the other thing versus this.
If you weren't doing this, what else would Kimberly be doing?
My first thought is, I don't know, I would love to be like a home decorator or
you've done a wonderful job with the wall behind you.
Thank you. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you watch some of those shows like on HGTV and all that? The
I
decorating
love
shows?
HGTV. Another dream job of mine would be to host a show on like an HGTV. That would be like a dream, like a Trading Spaces kind of show. Like that would
would be fun doing it together.
Oh my God. Well, if you get one of those, call me because I'm there.
I have some friends that work there. Hey guys, give us a buzz.
Yeah, you've got a team here.
And it's easy. The font would be easy. Jim and Kim. I mean, it's you know,
JK.
Yeah.
KJ,
we've already got the M.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing. I'm all there. So you just call me.
Same.
But so that would probably be something. I don't know what I honestly don't know what else I would be doing. I really can't envision.
It's amazing what you did. You just went like this with your hair, and all of a sudden it fluffed out.
Ooh,
it's like you can do a lot of stuff with that hair, huh?
Yeah, I have a ton of hair, and my goal during this whole interview is to keep it away. See,
from
the mic, because
then it rubs. And now, has your hair always been that long, or did it grow longer during the pandemic? Mine was always shorter, like him. The logo.
Oh, yes.
And during the pandemic, I let it grow and actually went down to here.
Well, see, I like your hair. It's a nice.
That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, it looks good on you. My hair when I was a kid, it used to be longer, but like I have so much hair. My mother used to take my hair and go like this and put half of it over her head, and like we had enough for two. But I try to keep it. I just try to keep it at this length. It seems to function okay.
I think we're blessed to have it, right? We're blessed to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
For as long as we have it.
Yeah,
in case you're listening up there.
Right.
We'd like to keep it for a little longer. We got some more work to do on screen.
Exactly.
What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life, Kimberly, that inspire you? As you're inspiring and entertaining others, there has to be sources of inspiration in your life and blessing. What would that be?
Well, I do have to say my students, definitely, anytime I see them succeed, it's extremely exciting. It's just as exciting as like booking a job. It's like so exciting. I mean, I have some wonderful family members, and my sister is a full on rock star. I love her. She's not in the business, but just who she is. She's amazing.
I like the way you said I have some wonderful family members. Are there others? That I know.
No, did I say some? No, my mother would kill me if she watches. No, I have a full on.
I love them all. I love
family.
them all.
I love them all. I do. I love them. That was not the way that should come out. But I also, oh God, Mom. No, Mom's watching this. That wasn't.
What's Mom's name?
Mom is Michelle.
Michelle, welcome, Michelle.
Look, you got your own special shout out.
And now is she on the West Coast or she East Coast?
She's on the West Coast.
She's on the West Coast. Wow. Welcome from the West Coast, Michelle. My folks are watching. They moved from New York to Florida. So they're watching in Florida. So we got the moms watching.
And I have some pretty close-knit friends who have been with me on my journey forever and ever. And they are definitely an inspiration and a support of my life when things are going completely wrong.
Right. You can count on them to be like, hey, they sort of level it out.
Yes, exactly.
You know, you're Kim, you're Kimberly to them, right? And not necessarily with all the other grandiosity that comes with the rest.
There's
right?
there's no grandiosity at all.
Right. Is that even a word? Did we just make that up?
Maybe, but there's nothing.
Hey, I made up levity
at all. Exactly.
Levity and grandiosity.
They go together
right
very
here.
well. There you go.
You are a hoot and a holler, and I love it. And I hope that we get a chance to break bread at some point. We're both in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and love to stay connected and keep me posted on all the cool things that you are doing. And we will definitely keep the porch light on for you to come back. Good luck with everything that's happening and continued blessings. And I hope, Kimberly, that the show met whatever expectations you had and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I certainly have with you.
This was great. I really appreciate you having me on. It's such a fun conversation. So I appreciate that. I hope your audience is enjoying it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And you got a chance to watch when Brian Childers was on and some of the other episodes.
It was so great. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And we had a lot of fun today too. Just roll with it. I like to do it conversational, freestyle, warm, and wherever we head. And I think sometimes you get a richness out of that as we just emote. It's like we're playing a wonderful tennis match and we're serving back and forth. And then when you're done with it, you just feel like, wow, that was fantastic. Because it's not scripted. There's no questions in front of me. I do work where it's scripted, and that as well, or if it's scripted. But sometimes when you're just doing it in this ad hoc way, it can be more genuine and authentic and real. And I think we certainly nailed that today. So I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Thank you so much. I'm sending everybody the best.
Yes.
Good health. Knock on wood, we're still
all the rest
coming out of the pandemic.
Still coming out together. That's together is the main thing, right? Together. So the website again, if people want to check out some more.
Yes. So you can look me up at KimberlyFayeGreenberg.com, but you can also look me up at FabulousFannyBriceShow.com and at thebroadwayexpert.com. If you Google me, you'll find plenty of stuff on me and ways to reach me. I'm on all the social media. I'm very easy to get a hold of. So there you go.
We shall. There you go.
There
we
you go.
shall continue to spread the word and spread the word about our show. If you know folks you think would like to pop on, spread the word. Everybody's telling everybody, and it's a really, really cool thing. My friend, thanks for joining us. This was really terrific. We chatted for about an hour and 45 minutes or so. I think it was awesome. And you're amazing. We love it. And now, as I say to all the guests, go stretch those legs and get that circulation going. And there was one other person that wanted to just send his good wishes before we head out. Mr. George Burns is in the house.
Hello, Mr. George Burns.
There he is.
Nice to meet you.
And whenever I bring Georgie on, everybody's so like, oh my God, there's George Burns with the cigar and the whole bit.
I bet you knew Fanny Brice, Mr. George Burns.
I bet he did.
I bet he did.
Remember when he played God in the movie too?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's good to have God on your side, and he's my sidekick right here.
Amazing. Amazing. I love
Kim-
it.
Kimberly, you're the best. Thanks for joining us on the show. It was awesome.
Thank you
And
so much. I really appreciate it.
my pleasure. My pleasure. You be well. You take care and knock 'em dead the rest of the day. And we'll chat again soon. Okay.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.
Kimberly Faye Greenberg, the Broadway expert, and Fanny Brice too, as well. Wasn't it awesome having her here on the show? We thank her very much for joining us. And if you'd like to see this episode again, or you maybe missed something, came in late, you can see it on our YouTube channel, Gym Masters TV. We made it real easy. It's Gym Masters TV. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe to Gym Masters TV. You can see over 440 episodes of our entertainment lifestyle talk show series with extraordinary guests from all walks of life, amazing content, viewer interaction with viewers, our lovelies watching from all around the world, as well as surprises, pop-up shows. We've done holiday-themed shows. We've done host-viewer lovely chat shows, and a lot of cool things. As we always say, don't forget to smile, gang. Very important to do that. Don't forget to share the lovity. We mention that all the time as well. Don't forget to find your Zen place. Mine, of course, is always with loving family and friends. I'm also a cyclist. I love music, a writer, sports, gardening, tennis, and swimming. That's the Atlantic Ocean and that you're looking at. Swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing. I'm always near the ocean, and I love the ocean. So that's a Zen place for me. Also, my work in television, radio, stage, and film over the years, that's another Zen place. Obviously, you can tell with Kimberly, a real Zen place for her is doing the work that she does. And for me as well, the work I do on TV, radio, film, and stage is also Zen for me. So find your Zen place and share it with the world. Don't forget, our YouTube channel is Gym Masters TV. It's a channel dedicated to entertaining, informing, educating, and inspiring. So make sure that you check it out and give it some love as well. And we appreciate that. And you can also check that channel for all the guests, folks that are upcoming and folks who have come through our series. And maybe you'd like to see the episode again. A lot of people like to binge watch our show because there's so many episodes, over 440, 450 episodes there. So you can binge watch as often as you like. Share the links as well on your social media. If this was your first time watching, we welcome you to the Gym Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. Always a pleasure to be here. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, is Gym Masters TV. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Gym Masters TV, Twitch, Itch, and everything else. And Periscope and all the rest of the crazy places. We're all there. And of course, if you have a suggestion for somebody you think you would love to see on our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series, you can always contact the show there at gymmasterstv@gmail.com, and we'll take a look. And as always, we thank you for all the time. Thanks for all the interaction. Thanks for everything you guys do as supporters and viewers and lovelies of this very special place we've created called the Gym Masters Show. It really is something unique. We have a good time on the show, not just inspiring conversations, and we learn something new from each other, but lots of levity. And I think that's really important to have levity during these times and really any time in our life. So you guys are the best. I wish you well. We'll be back on our next episode of the Gym Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. If you miss any, don't fret. They're all available again on that YouTube channel. We again thank Kimberly for joining us here on the show. She was amazing. This shot I love. This is just quintessential. Smiling, happy. Here I am. I'm here to entertain. That one's a great one too. So is this one. These are just some of the shots that we shared during the course of the show. All right, we're going to scoot out. We're not good goodbye people. We don't say goodbye. We just say see you later, ciao, take care. Or as Juanita in South Africa, one of our lovelies, taught us, moi loop. Moi loop means in African, walk well. So we say moilu to all of you. Gang, we'll be back on our next episode. We love you all. Thanks for joining us on the Jim Masters Show. Hope you enjoyed this episode and spread the word about our show. We would love that as well. You take care and be well. We'll see you next time on JMS. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.